Support for this podcast comes from the Central Valley Journalism Collaborative, connecting communities with the resources, infrastructure, and networks to ensure a vibrant local free press.
From KVPR in Fresno, this is Central Valley Daily. Happy Friday. It's August 29th. I'm Sarith Hawk in for Elizabeth Arkalian. A Bakersfield man is competing on the world stage next week in a sport you might be familiar with.
This is a combat sport. You're trying to manipulate your opponent. You're trying to make them think something, but at the same time, you're trying to figure out what they're thinking.
We hear about a fencing competition from a man who competes in parafencing. But first, these headlines. Fresno County officials will ratify a state of emergency declaration at a special meeting today. It's over the Garnet Fire, which has burned over 15,000 acres in the Fresno County mountains as of Thursday night. So far, there is no containment. The blaze started on Sunday northeast of Pine Flat Lake. Fresno County officials say they're working at an emergency operations center and with CAL FIRE and Forest Service officials to notify residents in danger. Officials also warn visitors of bad air quality if they plan to hike in the area over the weekend. A Fresno businessman accused of hiring someone to set fire to his restaurant has pleaded not guilty to arson. Bobby Salazar is the owner of a popular Mexican restaurant chain in Fresno that goes by the same name. Authorities say he allegedly hired a gang member to start the fire at an underperforming restaurant last year. Salazar then allegedly used the damage to collect close to $1 million from his insurance. Salazar will appear for his bail hearing today and is still in police custody. Governor Gavin Newsom is sending more state law enforcement to the Central Valley. Newsom says he's looking to expand so-called crime suppression teams to combat drug and theft crimes. A crime suppression team is already in Kern County, but will be expanded, and they plan to add one to Fresno County. This comes as Newsom has criticized the Trump administration's recent use of the National Guard in Washington, D.C. and Los Angeles.
They'll be mobile, they'll work on a regional basis, and as I noted, they'll be expanded.
Officials say each team around the state will consist of a dozen California Highway Patrol officers working with local law enforcement. A special election over whether to redraw California's congressional lines is coming this November. That means political ads are starting to show up in your mailbox. Brianna Lee with our news partner LAist has more on how to spot who's spending money on those ads.
Take a look at any campaign mailer and you'll find near the bottom the name of the committee that paid for it. You can look up any committee online to find out more about who its officers are, how much money it spent, and the names of donors who contributed to the campaign. All this information is reported on the California Secretary of State's website.
That was LAist reporter Brianna Lee. The Delano Police Association is backing Dr. Jasmeet Bains for Congress. The union announced its support for the Democrat on Thursday. Union leaders say Bains, who is currently serving in the Assembly, has shown a history of supporting law enforcement. Bains is running to unseat Republican incumbent David Valadao.
Your last chance to enter KVPR's $10,000 drawing is Tuesday, the day after Labor Day. Tickets are limited to 800 sold. The grand prize is $10,000. Don't miss out. Less than 200 tickets remain. Call to enter at 559-275-8989.
And now to our main story. A Bakersfield athlete at the top of their field is getting ready for a major competition. Recently, our producer, Jonathan Linden, paid him a visit, and he brings us this story.
From the outside, the historic brick building that houses the Women's Club of Bakersfield seems pretty simple, but looks can be deceiving.
Hi, come on in. How are you? Hey, I'm doing all right.
I make my way up a pair of stairs on the side of the building and meet some of the folks with the Kern Athletic Fencing Foundation. The nonprofit uses the second floor of the Women's Club as its home base. Here, you can see athletes wearing the typical fencing uniform, all white, wearing a helmet with a metal mesh front and carrying a large blade. Rudolph Streitz is a coach here.
Well, this is the fencing room. You can hear the echo. We always like to have a wood floor because it's the best traction and it's less stressful on the knees. You want to avoid hard surfaces like concrete or tile or anything like that.
Rudolph has been involved in the fencing world since the 1980s and helps coach the over 100 students who take classes at the foundation. Along the walls of the studio, you'll see black square targets with circles in the middle of them. Rudolph says they use them to train the students.
So we have the kids line up, and this is how you learn your point control to when you extend with the tip first, and you go in. And so it allows them to practice.
Soon, even I was getting a lesson.
So just stand back here a little bit, okay, and just extend and push it in. So you have to push the blade in and bend the blade. So the hits are solid and firm attacks. They're not pokes, they're not strikes.
Well, I have to admit, all that was pretty fun. The reason I'm here is because a top athlete in the fencing world trains here, Kevin Reeve. Except Kevin is a parafencer. That's a form of fencing that is competed by individuals with physical disabilities. And instead of competing by standing up, athletes sit down in stationary wheelchairs. Next week, Kevin will be taking his parafencing abilities to South Korea. He's part of Team USA Parafencing and will compete at the Parafencing World Championships. To learn more about his sport, Kevin spoke with me to tell me more about some of the differences between fencing and parafencing.
With stand-up fencing, you're able to control distance a lot more. As somebody gets closer, you can retreat. I'm not ready to engage with you, so I'm going to give myself distance. In the chairs, you're kind of stuck in distance, so there's not really a lot of time. Everything is a lot faster. That makes the strategies a lot different. It makes the techniques, just thought process, everything is basically a little bit more streamlined. You don't have as much time to set up shots. In stand-up fencing, you can start to engage and show your blade in a certain way. Step back, show it to them, and they're starting to think you're going to do something. So you have more chances to set up. In fencing, you can't really start to give them the blade and then take it away because you're in range. They could just take your blade and attack. So setups are a lot different in the sitting down. I have not personally really done too much stand-up fencing because I'm double amputee. I do play with it here and there just to play around sometimes, but definitely requires a lot more footwork, and one foot just doesn't quite handle it.
I was talking with your coach Rudolph before this, and he was talking about the speed with parafencing. It's a lot quicker. So are there different types of things that you're doing to tune or improve your reaction time because you're sitting so close to your opponent?
Definitely. A lot of it is going to come down to like before the action starts, having the idea in your head. You're trying to read your opponent. What did he do last time? What trap is he trying to set? Is he trying to get me to go over here? But at the same time, you're trying to figure out your offense. What am I going to do off the line? How am I going to get him to move to the wrong position?
I'm curious too, Kevin, how did you get into the sport of parafencing? What motivated you to pursue this sport?
So I've always been into sports, athleticism, competition. Like that's always been my life. Like basically since I was a toddler, I've been in sports. When I was in my accident 10 years ago, I was pursuing boxing. I was probably like 4 or 5 years into that. I was getting into regional competitions. I was training with national champions. That was my life right there. It's always been competition, athleticism. Like that's just how I spend my time, how I enjoy my time. After my accident, I was stuck on the couch basically for like a year or two, and it was hard for me to figure out anything that is something I can do athletically and actually be competitive in. Like I could do playing around, but it's just not like real in most sports because everybody has to work with you on stand-up sports.
So parafencing really gave you an outlet.
Exactly. I saw the flyer for parafencing, and I looked at it. I saw some swords, and they're going around. I was like, oh, they're sitting down too. Like this could be fun. So I came in for a free session, and instantly I was like, this is a combat sport. You're trying to manipulate your opponent. You're trying to make them think something, but at the same time, you're trying to figure out what they're thinking. And it comes down to you have a millisecond to figure out what you're going to do, what they're doing. Are they committed? Are they tricking you? Are they feinting you? So it's just a high-speed game, and it just locks you in. And it's very nice just to find another sport that I can be competitive in.
That's amazing. And so you'll be heading out to South Korea in just a few days here to participate in the Parafencing World Championship. What are you looking forward to most?
World Championships, like, what is not to be excited about? Like, that's just top level competition. And for somebody whose life is competition, like, that's just a dream and a goal right there.
And so the Paralympics is just a few years away, happening in Los Angeles in 2028. Is that ultimately the goal for you right now, or?
That is definitely the goal right there. At first, when it was mentioned, it was like, oh, that would be cool. And then when I start going to national competitions and I'm very competitive, and it's like, okay, you know what? I'm very close to qualifying. If I actually take this serious, could make this happen.
That was Central Valley Daily producer Jonathan Linden speaking with Kevin Reeve. Kevin will compete in the Parafencing World Championships, which kick off next Tuesday in South Korea. If you'd like to keep up with how he's doing, starting next week, you can visit the World Parafencing website. Go to parafencing.org. And that's today's show. Today's episode was produced by Jonathan Linden and KVPR with support from the Central Valley Journalism Collaborative. I'm Sarith Hawk. Find the latest local news anytime at kvpr.org.
These days, there's so much news, it can be hard to keep up with what it all means for you, your family, and your community. The Consider This podcast from NPR features our award-winning journalism. 6 days a week, we bring you a deep dive on a news story and provide the context and analysis that helps you make sense of the news. We get behind the headlines. We get to the truth. Listen to the Consider This podcast from NPR.